All right, starting off the day with a 2006 Toyota Avalon. The complaint on this vehicle is that the air conditioning doesn't work, and it's not running right now. What do you know? Like, oh, there it is. Okay, so you see we got a brake light and an ABS light. And again, the actual complaint is that the AC does not work. It turns on, it blows, but it's not cold. So this car has already gotten a compressor, a couple of other things. I don't think there's anything wrong with the air conditioning system. I have a feeling that with these two lights that we have here, we probably have some type of a communication issue going on. So, and when I initially scanned this car, I had no communication with ABS and ECM, and I currently have no communication with ECM, but the car runs. So my guess is the air conditioning is not coming on because the AC cannot communicate with the ECM. I'm going to start this with why we can't communicate with the ECM. Interesting. Couple things to go on here. I have low battery positive voltage or abnormally high positive voltage. This is in the ABS, as well as a CAN communication fault. That's clearly going to have to do with us not being able to speak to the ECM. And again, real quick, this is as far as I've gone. This is actually I'm going live with you right now. I haven't looked at any diagrams. My next step is going to be to look at a diagram, but I want to go into the data on the ABS. And what I'm looking for is a voltage PID. It says ignition voltage normal. It doesn't give me a value. Huh. Okay. Well, I think the way I'm going to go about attacking this is I'm going to figure out why we don't have any communication with the ECM and go from there. So here's the wiring diagram, the network wiring diagram. Typical for Toyota, everything is running through one of these connectors here on the passenger side. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to map out the network. I want to see what's going where. I also want to make sure that we don't have some type of situation where the ECM and ABS module or ECM and something else are communicating separately. I just want to understand what I'm working on here. Data link connector. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to simplify things. I'm probably going backwards, but I'm just going to go right to the ECM. This green wire and this white wire, CAN high, CAN low, connector D41. I'm just going to go straight to it. I'm going to back probe, and I'm going to hook up the oscilloscope, and I'm going to see if I have network data present at this module. My guess is that I'm going to have network data at this module because for some bizarre reason, this thing actually runs. All right, so real quick, I'm going to show you the connections that I've made. I should get my light out of here. See the green? There's a green wire and a white wire where my green and red leads are hooked up. That is CAN high, CAN low. That is the ECM. So the way I want to go about this is I want to see if I have communication going to the ECM. We're going to drive it, see what happens. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is kind of happening live. I decided to go ahead and use the all telescope just because I'm already in the car with the scope itself, using it to monitor this vehicle. I got my breakout box hooked up. I'm going to ground 2 channels to chassis on the breakout box. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into measurements. We're going to go into oscilloscope. And again, my green channel. Wait, do I have this backwards? Yeah, so can high is on channel 2. I'm going to set this up 10 volts. Channel 1, 10 volts. I want to put a little more time on the screen. I'm going to key this thing on. Ooh, what is that? Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, that's interesting. Looking at this live with you. Speed this up a little bit. Go off. Let me just start it. Home. Back to the scope. Oh boy. All right, that's not right. I'll be back. All right, so I hopped out of this and then hopped back. This is a pause. Pause the screen so I can analyze the data, and I'm taking one of my cursors. That channel. You have to bear with me. I'm doing this. Doing this live. Okay. Well, I can tell you from experience that this is not good. I'll be back. One of the cool things about this scope. Got to double tap to exit. One of the cool things about this scope is that it has a bus inspection. This is going to take data at the DLC. Oh, that data looks bad for DLC too. Go to low. Well, that ain't no good. I'm probably gonna have to cease and desist doing videos on this, because now I should have been live when I did this. I'm gonna go ahead and go split screen. I'm gonna go to the scope. Ooh, that's interesting. I see a little bit of interference there, but for the most part, the data looks good now. I key it off. Now it doesn't look good. Key it on. Well, the ECM's communicating again. This is going to be interesting. Well, unfortunately for me, whatever the issue is has been corrected, at least temporarily. The ECM is communicating again, and yeah, so I gotta wait for this thing to act up again. Okay, got the car running. We have switched over to the Picoscope. Our problem corrected itself yesterday, but it's back now. I cannot quite explain why this looks this way. Typically, I've seen this be like an open. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna catch this thing. And in typical fashion, just my luck, as soon as I start to get on the trail, it fixes itself. I gotta wait for this thing to act up again. All right, I think I might finally have this figured out. I should have started from. All right, so we're currently in a failure mode. I just had this out of failure mode. Going to the ABS module, and I'm going to remove the ABS module from the network. All right, network goes flat. So now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cycle the ignition. And now the network is back up and running. I've done this 3 times consecutively now, and I've had the same result each time. So it's looking like that this is an internal fault in the ABS module. All right, so this is gonna be the final confirmation. As you can see, we have good network data. ABS module is currently unplugged. As soon as I plug this ABS module back in, there's our problem. So that confirms it right there. The ABS module is the issue here. It's knocking out communication with the ECM, and that's why the air conditioning doesn't work. All right, well, I'm driving another car that I'm doing an ADAS calibration on. So what I wanted to do is kind of cap off the diag that I did on the I think it was an 06 Toyota Avalon, and go over it again, because the goal is, what I'm trying to do is I want people to understand the process. So in the end, I condemned the ABS module, but I didn't just condemn it based off of the waveform of the network and how it changed when I unplugged it. You know, I also load tested all the powers and grounds. Wanted to make sure that we didn't have some type of supply issue, and I went ahead and took network measurements with the ABS module unplugged. Just basically looked at the network waveform again and made sure I didn't have something going on in the connector. And everything checked out. I let the vehicle run for a while. I started it, drove it without the ABS module in play, and 100% was the ABS module. To kind of go over again, you know, we started out a situation where the complaint was no air conditioning. There's nothing really mentioned about ABS or braking issues that I'm aware of. I know that the car got quite a bit of air conditioning work done to it. A lot of parts were replaced, and that's when I got involved. Obviously, I had no communication with the ECM. I understood immediately that was more than likely the problem. So a question that may come up is, why didn't you attack the codes that were in the ABS module? And the reason why I didn't go after those is 2 reasons. One is that I did not have a data PID that was giving me the exact voltage. I just had a PID that said whether or not it was normal. The PID said it was normal. I don't know what normal is. I understand numerical values as far as voltage is concerned. So the other part of it is that the way that the connector was designed, there was no way for me to do any voltage checks at the ABS module without unplugging the ABS module, and I didn't want to do that. I've seen a lot of situations where there's a connection problem, and I don't like unplugging stuff. I don't think that's diagnostics. I don't think you're fixing anything when you start wiggling stuff with no rhyme or reason, unplugging things. Everything that you're doing needs to be a calculated step. There has to be a reason behind what you're doing, and you have to, in your mind, kind of have a couple of different possible scenarios or outcomes. So I don't go messing with stuff unless maybe through experience, there's something that I'm aware of, or I'm just out of ideas. But I try to always make sure that everything is done logically, and you should too. So yeah, I guess that just about does it. Pretty interesting. A lot of people are looking at that one in that shop and wondering, how does an ABS problem or an ABS module cause the air conditioning not to work? Well, it's pretty simple. Something's going on inside of that thing internally. It's messing up the CAN bus communication, and for whatever reason, the car still ran. That's the part that I don't get. That's the part that I do not understand. I have no idea how that vehicle was still running, but it was. So that's that. It's going to get an ABS module. I'm going to program it to the vehicle, and it's going to be off to the races. And that's it. So on to the next one.